Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how you do the camel stitch, sometimes known as like the faux knit stitch, sometimes referred to as half double crochet in the third loop. That's quite a mouthful. But I'm going to show you how you do it in rows. Traditionally, the camel stitch is worked in a round, so you are always working with the front of your work facing you. So the back of camel stitch is very, very flat, as you can see. Today is to show you, there's a little bit of slight fake it to make it approach to making it look like you have the ribs all on the front of your work, like this. But it makes for a great stitch, particularly for scarves. It looks awesome in sort of chunky, heavier weight yarns. So it's very simple, and I'm going to stop chatting and I'm going to crack on and show you how you do the camel stitch in back and forth rows. So to work the camel stitch, first of all, you need a base row of normal half double crochet stitches. So I have done my chain, and then into the third chain from the hook, I've placed my first half double crochet, and I've double crocheted all the way along to the end here. Now I'm going to chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, and I'm going to turn my work. Now as I'm turning, you'll note that the top of your stitches are always little V's like this. People always describe them as V's. Normally, when you are working your crochet stitches, you work underneath these 2 V's. Sometimes you'll work into the front loop or the back loop, but generally you work underneath the 2 V's. Now, for camel stitch, we actually want to push those V's forward. So you're sort of rolling them forward to give like a sort of ribbed effect on the front. So you actually want to find the third loop, which is, you can see it here by my thumb, this loop here. So when you do a half double crochet, you'll get these slanted loops underneath the top of your V. So you've got your V here, and then you've got this slanted side loop here, all the way along underneath, just sitting underneath. Sometimes you can find it by pulling your stitch out. So you've got the V's on top, and it's this one here. So this chain 2 does not count as a stitch, and you're going to do your half double crochets as normal, but you're going to work into this third loop here, which pushes the top V forwards. And again, you find the next one underneath. It's here. It's the third loop. So you get a very flat back. Third loop here. So just roll it forward. There's my V. Rolling that forward finds the third loop there. So I'm just going to do a couple more, and then I will show you from the front how it's looking, pushing these V's forward. I'm keeping it nice and loose so that you can clearly see. So if I turn this around, you can see the tops are being pushed forward. See? So it creates like a sort of knit effect to your work. So I'm going to keep going along the row. Now, usually this camel stitch is worked in the round. So you will always be working in one direction, and so you'll have a very clear back of your work and front of your work. But if you want to work the camel stitch in rows without having a huge gap in between, let me just get to the end here and I'll show you. So I'm approaching the end, so you can see I've got one, and I've got a little bar here as well. I'm just going under this. If I'm going too fast, feel free to slow the video down. So that's my end stitch there. So you can see the back is very, very flat, and the front has created, I know it's upside down, it's pushed your top V's forward. So as I say, normally this is done in the round, and you're always working on the same side so that you already have these V's sticking forwards. But if you want to go back and forth in rows and maintain this effect, for the second row, you have to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 2, which does not count as a stitch. I'm going to turn it around. And you can see here is that slanted loop that we've been working into to push this forward. But obviously if we continued working, that would just push these tops back on the opposite direction, which is not what we want, because we want all these beautiful V's sticking forwards. So you've kind of got to fake it a little bit for your second row. So instead of working into this third loop here along the base, you're actually going to work just into the back loop of the top of your stitch. So for the return row, just working into this back row here, back loop, sorry, just the back loop of the stitch. So instead of going underneath your stitch, as you usually would, see there's the V's, you're just going to work into the back loop. And just put your half doubles in the back loop all the way along. And what that is doing is it's creating a sort of faux effect here. So you can sort of see that very faux V's, but they're all pointing in the same direction. So at a quick glance, you wouldn't know that wasn't the tops of your work. So for the second row, you want to just work into the back loop, just the back loop here of your stitches all the way along. So you can see it gives that faux knit effect rather than the front here. And then to continue, you would chain 2, turn your work, and then do the camel stitch into this return row. This way you're keeping the back of your work nice and flat. So camel stitch goes into this loop here, not the tops, not the back, this third loop that's tucked down here. And that's all there is to it for working the camel stitch in rows as opposed to in the round. So you do one row when you have the back of your work facing you, and you'll know it's the back because it's completely flat. You'll do the camel stitch, which is your half double crochet into the third loop, this sort of slanted one hidden behind, which pushes the tops of your work forward. And on the ribbed side, so let me just whiz along to the end here. Whenever you get to the ribbed side and you're turning your work, I'm just going to chain 2. Whenever you turn around and it's the ribbed side, to maintain the ribbing, you work into the back loop only. So it's a really simple method. It makes for great textured, chunky scarves. The half double crochet is such a great fast stitch anyway that it will build really quickly, and it gives you this beautiful sort of knit effect. And that is how you work the camel stitch in rows. One row of actual camel stitch, which is into the third loop, and then one row back loop only, just to fake it. So I hope that helped, and I hope you all enjoy your camel stitch in rows. Until next time, bye!